Welcome to the Graybeard Chronicles podcast. Your hosts, Brian Halstead and Kevin Harkins, are two gray-bearded patriots who love God, their family and friends, and their country. The Graybeards are here to inspire, inform, and educate you on a myriad of topics they are passionate about. Brian and Kevin have a strong desire to share this with you to help you live your best life. Sit back and enjoy this amazing podcast as the Graybeards pass along the wisdom of the ages.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Graybeard Chronicles. I'm Brian Halstead.
And I'm Kevin Harkins.
And Kevin, we're here to pass along some wisdom of the ages. What the heck does that mean?
We're not perfect, but we do have gray beards. And that means we've got some significant life experience, some life lessons, and some perspectives that are worthy of passing along.
Well, I think that sums it up nicely. Let's get to it.
Kevin, what's going on, man? Good to see you.
Yeah, good morning instead of good evening.
Yes, and not in person, remotely. Good morning.
Yes, isn't this a beautiful plant right here, and like a beautiful flower thing right here? That's
You know, I was going to call those out, but you beat me to it. It has a very feminine touch.
Yes, indeed.
It's almost like it's not your office.
Right, definitely not. Yeah, I'm having to record from my wife's office again today, and so there you have it.
Nothing wrong with that.
Not a thing in the world. You know what? Next time we do remote, I'm going to find a better place. No, this is a good place. I'll just find a different place.
I think it works fine.
Okay, very good.
Wherever you are.
Yeah.
As long as you are.
Speaking of my wife, she was the inspiration behind today's podcast topic.
All right.
Yeah.
So say more about that. We've not yet disclosed that topic, so yeah, say more.
Yeah. So that was probably a month or so ago. As you may recall, I went away for the weekend with her, and it was my birthday, and she put together a really nice weekend at a really nice inn up in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and we went and hung out, and it was a 2-night and two overnight kind of thing,
right?
But it was so incredibly relaxing and so different than our normal routine,
right?
It really caused me to be able to unplug from work and just the press of life and all of the things that we do, whether it's family stuff or work stuff or hobby stuff. It doesn't matter. And right in the middle of the weekend, we were sitting by the pool, and she just saw this look on my face that she had not seen in years. And she said to me, "That's what I was going for right there." And I was a little startled because I was like, what are you talking about? And she goes, "You are totally relaxed. You are totally unplugged. That's what I wanted. I wanted you to just to get away and do something different." And I said, "Well, you're the same." She goes, "Yeah, it's been good for me too." But it just got me to thinking, what do you do to unplug? And the reason I asked that question is because it's very, very important to do so from time to time. And it doesn't have to be a long time, but it has to be something that so disconnects you that when you come back, you're mentally refreshed. I'm not talking about physically. I'm talking about mentally, where you come back. And I couldn't believe it. The week after I came back, I had energy. I had motivation. It was just really re-energizing. And so that's where it comes from. And so I wanted to ask you, what do you do to unplug? And do you unplug? And do you realize the importance of unplugging?
Those are a bunch of questions, rapid fire. So I love the idea, love the topic. And I was going to ask you before we dove into it, what is your definition of unplugging? And I think you've pretty well covered that, because you talked about things besides just getting away from these things.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because if you look up the definition of unplug, right? So it's to free from an obstruction is traditional definition, or remove a plug, right? But then there's this added one to disconnect from all electronic devices and so on. And while I think unplugging, no doubt, is very, very important, I'm not a hard subscriber to the fact that it has to be complete freedom from any um, technology. I think that can be a benefit, and in times that is appropriate. And at the same time, I don't think that's 100% essential. And the reason I say that is, you might be able to unplug by just stepping away from work stuff or things that are demanding of you, and veg out watching YouTube for a half an hour or whatever.
Yeah.
And while that's not, technically by that new definition unplugged, it's still, I think it's something that's not demanding on you, and allows you that ability just to chill out for a little while and maybe learn something new. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you can learn on YouTube.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. And I don't disagree with you, by the way. In fact, and it's just the person that I become over time. If I completely, if I unplugged from this, as you said, and didn't look at it and went, days without it, I mean, I'm sure I'd be fine, but my mind would be, so worried about what it was that I was missing, that
Right.
and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that because part of my philosophy of life is it's much easier to keep up than it is to catch up.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And so, having the ability to log in the morning and in at night and see what's there and just make sure it's okay. And if there's any really hot items that need to be dealt with, I mean, I agree. And I did that on this, but the days themselves were so different. The routine was so different than my normal routine. And there was much less electronic connection. And it wasn't because I couldn't connect. I could, absolutely. I mean, there was internet. I could have done it, every spare minute I could have done it. And just, there was enough going on that it was different. And then it was, and here's another example, just yesterday, kind of continuing the same thing. We're kind of getting back into this day hike thing. I really like the day hike.
Right.
And we're kind of working our way up to longer distances again, because and so we planned yesterday a 7-mile hike, and we were gonna just go and do it, and that's what we did. And for those 7 hours, I wasn't checking email. I'm sorry, it wasn't 7 hours for those 7 miles.
Right.
It was just nice. It was very different. And then you come back and you just feel refreshed. So it whatever it is for you, and you just agreed with me that completely unplugging electronically in today's day and age, that's actually probably more. It probably puts me in a worse frame of mind, honestly.
Yeah, because like you said, it's not going to go away. It'll be
Right.
there when you get back, and there'll be more of it because you didn't stay with the flow and manage the incoming demands. So it is, but at the same time, it is nice to sometimes be either consciously in a situation where you're just not engaging with that, or have a situation where you're so busy with a certain function, meeting, whatever, that you just have no time to do it. Right. It's nice to have that freedom away from that electronic leash, if you will. And the sad but true fact is it's all still going to be there when you get back, so it doesn't go away.
That's right. That's right. Well, what do you do? When it's time for you to change the pace, unplug, whatever you want to call it. What do you do?
So, as you well know, I very much enjoy smoking a tobacco pipe, and I
Yeah.
have to call out, in today's world, I have to call out tobacco pipe, because it turns out there's people that smoke many different substances in pipes.
Yes.
This is a tobacco pipe, not a Hunter Biden pipe or any other kind of nonsense. But yeah, I mean, there is absolutely nothing like just sitting back and enjoying a nice tobacco pipe early in the morning with a cup of coffee, after dinner in the evening. It just very relaxing, and you kind of let your mind wander. I might watch some YouTube videos or whatever, but I'm not not necessarily doing something that's mentally demanding or draining.
Yeah.
So that's just quality time. And
Okay.
it doesn't necessarily have to be alone time either, right? I
No,
can
you're right.
sit with somebody and have great conversation.
That's right.
Enjoy that activity, sitting there smoking a pipe and relaxing in the evening, talking to my wife, whatever. Or sometimes it's just, I find this key during the middle of the day, right? So you're getting bogged down with stuff, and the phone's ringing, the emails are steady coming in, and you're just grinding those things out, right? And sometimes it's good just to put it all down and walk away. Walk outside, just get some fresh air. I think we've talked about that before. Just
Yeah.
Even if it's only for a short time, 5-10 minutes,
You're right.
just that action of breaking that cycle of whatever it is that you're doing, and walking outside and just getting that fresh air for a little bit makes a huge difference. You come back in, and you're way more productive when you hit the ground.
YouTube is a good one. Yeah, I can find something that I just really enjoy and watch it for a few minutes. Or
yeah, I recall you making comments about getting sucked into the YouTube vortex.
oh yeah, oh absolutely, absolutely. That especially if it's something that you're interested in,
Yeah.
it can be a topic of it doesn't matter what it is. It just all of a sudden, it could be the best NFL plays of the past decade, and all of a sudden you're watching them and you're going, wow, that's amazing. Because I enjoy watching football. So that would be something that I would enjoy very much. Yeah. Speaking of football, by the way, just quick diversion. You probably heard the sale of the Commanders was completed this past week, and so I kind of feel a dynasty coming on. I think you need to be worried. The Commanders.
Optimistic about the future of the franchise having that ownership change. I certainly don't think it's going to hurt. They've been hurting long enough.
That's a good way to unplug on a Sunday, watching a football game.
Yeah.
Another cool thing that I totally unexpected. Paula bought me this just recently, about a month ago, maybe not even 3 weeks ago. She bought me this book called "The History of the World in Maps," and it's a large book, and it's pages and pages of, and it goes all the way back to what they call, I haven't thought, prehistory. So before the written word, when it was just hieroglyphics and images,
Right.
And there were maps about where these people lived, where they found the hieroglyphics, and there's a map, and then it gets into ancient history, and then it gets into the Middle Ages, and then it gets into the Industrial Revolution, all this. It walks through history unexpectedly. I mean, I can sit down with this book in the evening for an hour and just lose myself. It's fascinating, and it's a way to unplug. So
Yeah, that's very cool. I'd be intrigued to learn more about that.
yeah,
You just caused me to think about something when this whole unplugging idea. Here's a challenge I'll throw out to folks. Um, Work on unplugging, whether it's an hour a day or 15 minutes a day or however long. And I'll tag this onto it with this question: What have you learned new today, or learned new this week? And maybe you can couple those two together. When you unplug, focus on learning something new, and that can be from reading. Again, we've mentioned the YouTube thing a bunch of times already, but there's value, I think, in learning new things.
you bet. Absolutely.
Keeps your brain learning and growing instead of
Yeah, I like that. I like that add to the conversation that when you unplug, if you can, and just the change up in what you're being exposed to, what you're exposing yourself to, I guess is maybe another way to say it. And what that's doing for you. How is that making you a better person? Is that making you a better person? And it might be it's making me a better person by helping me relax and helping me think different, and helping me just sort of change it up in a way that when I come back to work, I'm refreshed. So there you go.
All right. So take time, however long it is, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, a weekend, and unplug and learn something new.
There you go. Great. That's a great summary. Wonderful.
All right. So I'm situated different from my normal environment, so I can't reach over and hit any button. So I'm just going to have to act like I did.
Yeah.
And then say, no matter who you are, where you are, what you're doing, make sure between this podcast and the next, you take time
to enjoy the ride.
And we know that won't work out because it does never get synced when we're.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Graybeard Chronicles. Please subscribe so you'll receive notification when new episodes are available. To learn more about the Graybeards, visit their website, graybeardchronicles.com.